Hi, in this week's video, I'm going to talk about exercise. So, again, this is a nuanced thing. Everyone's a little bit different. Um, but I, for years, um, used exercise as a way to um, control my weight. And it was, I was definitely in my early years, like late teens, early 20s, into restricting. And exercise was part of this mindset where I would use exercise nearly to purge calories. And um, and invariably, what would happen when it was a bit like restricting my food. When I did too much exercise and got too hungry, um, a switch would be flicked, and then I couldn't stop overeating. So even though exercise is really helpful and healthy for most people, um, if you're someone who's come from a background of binge eating and purging and restricting and using exercise as a means to maintain your weight, I recommend dropping the exercise, not using it anymore as a means to maintain weight. And I know people say exercise is, okay, so let me clarify that a little bit. Very gentle exercise that is relaxing for you, that isn't about getting anything. It's about becoming centered, it's about getting fresh air, it's about enjoying somebody's company, um, is fine. But if we switch over into the territory of I need to do exercise now or else I'm going to put on weight, and if I don't do exercise today, then that wasn't a good day, because I need to exercise every day in order to be consider it a good day. So if there's that sort of um, if if we aren't content in ourselves without doing exercise, then I suggest to people that we drop the exercise, because the problem is is that if we can't do exercise on a certain day, or if we get injured and we can't exercise, the next thing we want to do is start restricting our food. And once we get into that management of our food, restricting, um, it invariably leads to overeating again. And what was recommended to me and what has worked for me for the last 13 years is not using exercise as part of maintaining a healthy weight. I use my food plan, my plan of eating, to maintain a healthy weight. And of course, my plan of eating will change depending on my job and how sedentary I am and all of that. So there is, it's not a fixed thing, it can change. But I was a slave to food for so many years, and I now know what it's like not to be a slave to food. And I don't want to become a slave to anything else. I don't want to get into the headspace of, you know, working out how many calories I ate and therefore how long I need to go running for in order to compensate those calories. It brings me back into this fear-based thinking, and my motivation there is to maintain control myself, and that never worked in the long term. So for the last 13 years, my approach has been more about giving up control, not trusting my own thinking when it comes to food, and not trusting my own thinking when it comes to managing my own weight. That might sound crazy, but if you're somebody like me who's really struggled with control and with trying to manage your weight yourself, you might understand. And there was a huge relief with not having to exercise. When I finally got to the point where I felt like I'd had enough with food and overeating and undereating and binging and purging and all the rest of it, I was just done. I was ready to give up. And so when somebody said, okay, I don't think you should exercise anymore, I said, okay, I don't care anymore. I won't exercise if that's what you think. And here's a plan of eating that'll get you to the right weight. Just surrender to this. I was ready to surrender. I was happy to surrender. I was tired of trying to run the show myself. I was tired of trying to manage everything. I was tired of being a slave to food. and never knowing when the next binge was going to come. And I felt that if exercise was going to contribute to my freedom or not, it was going to give me freedom or not, I was happy to choose not to exercise in order to have freedom. There was a time in my life where, you know, um, I just needed to do more and more and more exercise. A little bit of exercise made me feel good, so therefore the logic was, well, more will make me feel better. But there was never an end to how much I wanted. It just sort of went on and on and on. And living in any of those extremes, there's always a middle way. So, doing excessive amounts of exercise isn't sustainable, and doing absolutely no exercise isn't a good way to live either. It always comes back to somewhere in the middle. But where that middle is different for all of us. And if it's like a pendulum. And if we have used exercise obsessively, then maybe we need to swing back a little bit further than most people and not use exercise at all in order to find a place of balance. I do a little bit of exercise now. I'm certainly not training for any triathlons or anything like that, although there's nothing wrong with that. But I suppose it took me a while to get to a centre with food, and now I trust myself around exercise. I don't do it obsessively. I do it if I feel like it. I don't do it if I don't feel like it. There isn't this fear inside me that if I don't do it, everything's going to go to pot, and that's a great freedom. So that's my take on exercise. I hope you found it helpful. Take care. Bye now.